It all started with a simple click, a download. It was just a game, or so I thought. At the center of this tale is a young lad, brimming with curiosity and a thirst for adventure. He finds himself drawn to the Randonautica app, an enigmatic tool that generates random coordinates for exploration. It's a bit of modern-day treasure hunting, a digital dalliance into the unknown. All in the name of fun, right? Boredom, that insatiable beast, gnaws at him one evening. He decides to shake things up a bit to inject a dash of excitement into the monotony. He whips out his phone and fires up the app, his heart fluttering with anticipation. What was initially a harmless download from an app store was about to morph into a chilling journey into the unseen, the unexplored. Little did I know that one click would lead me down a path I'd never forget. As the app generated coordinates, a strange feeling washed over me, but I shrugged it off, attributing it to the late hour. It was just a game, I reminded myself. A harmless app leading me on a random adventure. The digital map displayed on my phone screen, guiding me through the city's labyrinth of streets. The coordinates led me to a part of town I'd never visited. The buildings here were old and had a certain charm, but also an eerie sense of abandonment. I found myself standing before an imposing structure, its windows dark and lifeless. It looked like it had been deserted for decades, a relic of a bygone era, forgotten by everyone except for the app on my phone. Flickering streetlights lined the deserted road, casting long, menacing shadows that danced around me. The wind whistled through the narrow alleyways, carrying whispers of stories untold, of lives lived and lost within these walls. The moon, a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas, bathed the scene in an ethereal glow. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl and the occasional rustling of dry leaves tumbling down the street. Against this backdrop, the building seemed to pulsate with a life of its own. The stone walls, weathered by time, held on to secrets that added to the chilling atmosphere. Portraits, hidden behind the dusty glass windows, seemed to watch my every move, their eyes following me with an unsettling intensity. The wind picked up, making the old wooden sign hanging above the entrance creak eerily, as if beckoning me to enter. My heart pounded in my chest as I stood frozen on the spot. Fear, curiosity, and a sense of surrealism washed over me, making me question the reality of what I was experiencing. Nevertheless, I found myself drawn towards the building, compelled by a force that seemed to pull me in. I should have turned back then, but curiosity got the better of me. The thrill of the unknown, the allure of the adventure was too strong to resist. I took a deep breath, mustered up all my courage, and stepped towards the haunting coordinates. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of my nightmarish encounter. The moment I stepped inside, I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the winter air. The atmosphere was dense, almost tangible, like wading through a murky pond. The air was heavy with dust and the scent of decay, a remnant of the past that clung to every surface, every corner of this forsaken place. As I ventured deeper into the heart of the building, the silence was broken by the unsettling echo of footsteps. My footsteps, or perhaps the vestige of someone or something that had walked these halls long before my intrusion. Each tap of my foot against the cold, hard floor seemed to reverberate throughout the building, bouncing off the walls to return as a ghostly mimicry of my own movements. The hallway was lined with portraits, their eyes seeming to follow me with an eerie intensity. The faces in the portraits were weathered by time, yet their gazes were as clear as day, their expressions unreadable. It was as if they were aware of my presence, tracking my progress through the building with an unsettling focus. The feeling of being watched, of being stalked, grew with each step I took. The deeper I ventured, the stronger the sensation became. The air grew colder, the echoes louder, the gazes more intense. The portraits seemed to come alive, their eyes darting, following my every move. A flicker of movement, a rustle of fabric, a whispered sigh. Each one served to amplify the creeping dread that had taken hold of me. I felt it then, a presence, an entity that seemed to permeate the very walls of the building. It was not a welcoming sensation. It felt as if the building itself was alive, its spectral inhabitant an unseen observer, watching me with an insidious interest. The chill seeped deeper, wrapping around my spine, burrowing into my bones. It was a cold that no amount of warmth could chase away. An oppressive feeling like a weight pressing down on me, making it harder to breathe, harder to think. I was not alone, I could feel it in my bones. Suddenly I wanted nothing more than to escape this nightmare. A guttural instinct, a primal urge took hold of me. It was the pure, unfiltered desire to survive. I was in a haunted place, a building filled with dread and despair, and every fiber of my being was screaming at me to get out. But how? The once familiar layout of the building seemed to twist and warp around me. Hallways stretched into oblivion, doors led to nowhere, and staircases spiraled into a macabre dance of confusion. The walls closed in on me and the ceiling seemed to lower, creating a claustrophobic labyrinth that toyed with my sanity. It was no longer a building, it was a living, breathing entity, a grotesque mockery of architecture that changed and shifted with each passing second. I ran, stumbled, fell, and got back up only to run again. My heart pounded in my chest like a relentless drum, and my breath came out in ragged gasps. I could hear the screeching of unseen apparitions close behind me, their ghastly wails echoing through the twisted halls. Each sound was a chilling reminder of the inescapable horror I was trapped in. As I turned corners, I could see portraits on the walls, their eyes following my every move, piercing through the darkness with an eerie glow. They watched me, their expressions twisted into malicious grins, as if they were enjoying my desperate attempts to escape. The flickering lights overhead cast long, monstrous shadows that danced and contorted on the walls, adding to the surreal nightmare. I tried to recall the path I had taken, to retrace my steps, but it was in vain. Everything was different, distorted. I was running in circles, trapped in a looping horror that had no end. It was like a hideous game of cat and mouse, only in this game the cat was a malevolent spirit, and the mouse was me, lost and terrified. I was a mouse trapped in a maze, and I could hear the cat closing in. The haunting echoes of my footsteps were a chilling testament to my futile struggle to escape, a struggle that seemed as endless as the nightmarish building itself. Finally, I stumbled out into the open air, gasping for breath. I had managed to escape the haunting grip of the place the Randonautica app had led me to, yet the terror was far from over. I was free physically, but mentally, I was still trapped. I walked down the dimly lit street, the flickering lights casting long, eerie shadows. The chilling wind whispered through the trees, each gust feeling like a ghostly hand brushing against my skin. The feeling of being watched was constant, a relentless presence that prickled at the back of my neck, and every step I took seemed to echo with another's. Every corner I turned, every alley I passed, it felt as if I was being followed. The faint sound of footsteps trailing behind me, a chilling reminder of the haunted place I had just escaped from. It was as if the haunting had hitched a ride with me, refusing to let go. At home, I locked every door, closed every window, but the feeling of unease lingered. Even in the safety of my own house, I could not escape the eyes. Those haunting, lifeless eyes that seemed to follow my every move from the portraits in the haunted place, now seemed to be everywhere. They haunted my dreams, their gaze penetrating the darkness, a chilling reminder of the horror I had experienced. Each night was a struggle, sleep eluding me as the haunting aftermath of my adventure with Randonautica played on repeat in my mind. The once innocent app on my phone now seemed like a Pandora's box that I had foolishly opened, releasing horrors that I couldn't put back. In a desperate attempt to regain some semblance of normalcy, I deleted the app. But it was too late. The damage had been done. I had opened a door that I couldn't close, and now I was left to deal with the haunting aftermath. I deleted the app, but it was too late. I had opened a door that I couldn't close. Now I can't shake off the fear that something followed me home that night. The echoes of the footsteps, the chilling whispers, the portraits with eyes that seemed to track my every move, they're all imprinted in my mind. This isn't some campfire ghost story or a horror movie plot. This is real. This happened to me. I downloaded the Randonautica app on a whim, thinking it was just a harmless game. I never imagined it would lead me to a place that haunts my dreams to this day. I want you to understand the gravity of my experience. The world is filled with unexplainably eerie corners, and apps like Randonautica, they might just lead you right to them. My advice? Be careful where curiosity leads you. Not every corner of this world is meant to be explored. Remember, not all doors should be opened. And some games, well, they're not meant to be played.